A king on a cross? I mean, that just sounds wrong, doesn't it? Kings are supposed to have thrones, crowns of gold, armies, not a wooden cross and a crown of thorns. It's a total contradiction. So, in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into that very idea, using a powerful homily from Father Blair to help us understand the solemnity of Christ the King. So, here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at what makes this king so different. Then we'll jump back in time to see the world crisis that led to this feast day in the first place. We'll cover the Pope's bold response and how this king's power is revealed on the cross. And finally, we'll see what this all means for us, how it moves from a Sunday faith into our Monday life, and why it calls for a faith that's public, not just private. All right, first up, a different kind of king. Before we can get anywhere, we really have to tackle that title. What are we even talking about when we say Christ is a king? Let's take a closer look. Seriously, when you hear the word king, what image pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably someone sitting on a massive throne, dripping with gold, wielding all kinds of power, right? Okay, now look at this. This is where Father Blair's homily just flips that whole image completely on its head. On one side, you've got the standard earthly king, throne, gold, power, armies. But on the other side, Christ the King. His throne is a cross, his crown is made of thorns, his power isn't in armies but in sacrifice, and his commands are all about love. It's a radically different way to think about what it means to be a ruler. So why was this feast day even created? To get that, we need to do a little time traveling. We've got to understand the historical crisis that was brewing when this whole idea was born. And we're going back to 1925. So think about it. This isn't some ancient tradition that's been around for thousands of years. It's actually a pretty modern response to a very modern set of problems. As Father Blair's homily explains, Pope Pius XI was looking at the world around him. You've got the rise of aggressive secularism, intense nationalism, all these ideologies trying to build a perfect world. And he saw a deep spiritual crisis. He saw humanity trying to build paradise, but they were kicking God out of the blueprint. And he believed that was a recipe for disaster. So what do you do when you see the world spinning into crisis? Well, the Pope's response wasn't political, it wasn't military, it was deeply spiritual. He proposed a feast day as a cultural statement. And this is what he came up with: the solemnity of Christ the King. Now, in the Catholic Church, a solemnity is a big deal. It's the highest rank of feast day. This wasn't just a quiet little reminder. It was designed to be this huge public declaration every single year that real peace and freedom don't come from human systems alone. They come from recognizing Christ's authority over everything, not just our private lives, but our public lives too. Okay, so if this king's authority isn't based on an army or a palace, where is it revealed? Where do we see it in action? Well, Father Blair's homily points us to one unmistakable place: the crucifixion. I mean, talk about irony, right? The Gospels tell us his royal title is literally nailed up for everyone to see, not at a fancy coronation, but at his own execution. His kingship is being declared at the very moment the world is trying to destroy him. And this moment, it just perfectly captures the two ways people can respond. On one side, you have the crowd basically shouting, "Prove it! If you're really a king, do a magic trick. Save yourself." But then, you have the thief next to him. He sees something different. He's not asking to be saved from the cross. He's asking to be remembered in the kingdom. And here's the kicker. This is where Jesus shows his royal power, not by coming down from the cross, but by offering salvation from the cross. He doesn't save himself. He saves the man next to him with a simple promise of mercy. That, as the homily explains, is the very nature of his reign. All right, so what does all of this mean for us, right here, right now? If this is the kind of king we're talking about, what does it actually look like to be one of his subjects? How does this idea get out of a church and into real life? Well, the source is super direct about this. It warns against this huge temptation to compartmentalize. To treat your faith like a jacket you wear for an hour on Sunday and then hang in the closet for the rest of the week. This kingship is supposed to rule over your entire life. So the whole point is that this allegiance is supposed to actually show up in your life. The challenge is to let it make you a more dependable professional, a more self-sacrificing parent, a more responsible student, and get this, even a more active and joyful citizen. It's an internal belief that's meant to have very real external results. And all this builds to our final point, which might be the toughest one of all. This inner change is meant to lead to an outer witness. This isn't a faith that's meant to be kept private. Now, the homily makes a really, really important distinction here. This is not a call for a political takeover. It's not about forcing beliefs on people or taking away freedom. Instead, it's a call for an interior revolution that then leads to vibrant, positive engagement with society. It's about being a light in the world, not about conquering it. And to make this crystal clear, Father Blair tells the incredible, true story of Padre Miguel Pro. This was a priest back in the 1920s in Mexico, right when the government was viciously cracking down on the church. He was arrested on totally false charges, and they sentenced him to a public execution, to send a message. So there he is, in front of the firing squad. He kneels down and prays. Then he stands, stretches his arms out wide like Christ on the cross, and just before the bullets hit, he shouts his last words, "Viva Cristo Rey! Long live Christ the King." It was the ultimate public witness, even in the face of death. And that just brings it all home, doesn't it? The central message is this deep internal change that fuels a life of courageous, public integrity. And the weapons of this kingdom? They're not what you'd expect. They're obedience and a radical, self-forgetting love for others. So that leaves us with this one big question to really chew on, not just as a historical concept or a theological idea, but for you, for me. What does it actually mean? What would it actually look like to live your life for a king who reigns from a cross?